Author's Notes. Greg here. So this week we're going to be looking at chapter 2 of this EMP story. So if last week you read down below the book description and wondered who the hell is Sue, well, this week you get to find out. I don't know if you can see those trees blowing behind me there. We're getting ready to have a hurricane to come visit, so fun is. The big reason I like Sue and why I added Sue to the story is the fact that Sue is, she's a normal person, right? A lot of time us authors like to have super soldiers or, people that can deal with any particular problem. Well, we're going to find out that Sue is more of a normal person. Probably we all have a little bit of Sue inside of us, so that's kind of one of the reasons why I like that. She's going along with her normal life, heading into work, and this EMP attack happens. And how is she going to deal with that? So take a look and listen to this week's, and you will find out how Sue's story starts. By the way, please be sure to subscribe. It would be great to get to my 1,000 subscribers that YouTube likes to have before they let you monetize a channel. I'd sure appreciate that if you subscribed. And if you like this story and you want me to do more, please hit that like button and please feel free to share. Thank you. Chapter 2, A New Reality. A bright red flash filled the sky, followed by a deafening boom. The resulting pressure wave lifted Sue off her feet, depositing her on the ground 10 feet from where she had stood. All the city's lights turned dark, along with the absence of any mechanical noises. Sue sat on the hard concrete in shock. Her body ached from being tossed like a toddler throwing a doll, the violence so sudden she hadn't had time to brace herself for the impact. Not that the extra time would have made her involuntary somersault any more graceful. The once bustling city she had known so well turned as silent as a morgue. In an instant, her world collapsing in front of her eyes. Her mind couldn't comprehend the destruction she had just witnessed. Nothing made any sense to her addled brain. Sue tried to come up with an answer to her own questions, but her limited knowledge couldn't fill in the gaps. Panicked screams erupted around her, like the surround sound in a movie theater. She felt the rumble on the hard ground as the crowd shifted from confusion to panic and chaos. Pandemonium resulted from people screaming about terrorists, China, Russia, aliens, zombies, or Godzilla. Nobody knew what happened, but they knew something or someone had attacked the city. Buildings didn't crumble from a normal power outage. She stumbled to her feet to avoid being trampled as the crowd shifted from a roar to mass hysteria, people running in every direction. Sue wondered if anyone knew where it might be safe. The falling rubble generated a thick blanket of dust. It filled the air, making it difficult to breathe. Her lungs burned. Smoke from unseen fires billowed into the air, turning the blood-red sky into a dull orange. The bright morning sun muted to twilight in an instant. A smorgasbord of destruction at street level in a once thriving city. As Sue tried to get her bearings, people raced by her in random directions. They shouted words Sue couldn't understand as they ran past. Some shoved her aside as they stampeded, all sprinting in different directions, crashing into each other as they navigated the obstacles. Crashed and broken down vehicles blocked every intersection, making the roads impassable. All of their engines had stopped. Most had their doors flung open as their occupants joined the exodus on foot. Traffic lights turned black, along with the lights inside the businesses lining the street. Sue never studied engineering, but guessed nothing natural caused this disaster. This felt like the horror stories she read from the survivors of September 11th. Her job would have to wait for today, and maybe even wait forever. A former life that seemed pointless now. She staggered through the once familiar city streets, trying to develop a plan. On a normal day, she could travel this route in 10 minutes. Today, chaos reigned, choking her progress. Her city had turned into a war zone in an instant, or what she imagined a war zone to look like. Rubble littered the streets, blown in by the pressure wave that knocked her on her ass. Broken glass and debris made it difficult to step without twisting her ankle. Tripping seemed like a bad idea. She wished for a pair of hiking boots to navigate the uneven terrain, but she felt thankful to have her walking shoes on this morning rather than the high heels she wore in the office. One positive about running late. The smoke and dust intensified with each step she took, making the air difficult to breathe. She found it hard to see down an entire block, making her doubt the direction she traveled in. Total disorientation. Her senses threatened to overwhelm as she tried to escape the city. The intense morning heat turned the air from unpleasant to sweltering. A putrid stench surrounded her, turning her stomach. Sue picked her way through the wreckage, looking for an oasis or help from a first responder. Secondary explosions, along with the sounds of groaning metal and breaking glass, reverberated around her. People went crazy around Sue, running in every direction possible. Some cried while others screamed. Few were quiet. She assumed they were all looking for an escape from the destruction, like her. Where could they turn to find it? As she trudged on, Sue heard the first mentions of an EMP attack. Some of the few words she could decipher from the panicked people running past. She had heard the abbreviation before, but couldn't remember what it stood for. Whatever it meant, she assumed it made more sense than Godzilla or zombies attacking the city. Sue stepped into an alley to her right-hand side to avoid the mayhem, trying to catch her breath. Adrenaline had gotten her this far, but she felt its effects fade. She pulled her cell phone from her pocket, hoping to find some news, a clue to what happened and where to find help. Her reflection shone back to her from the screen. With protective glass unbroken, she had expected to see her home screen. The black screen stared back even after she pushed the power button. Every night, Sue plugged her phone into her charger by her bed. How could the battery be dead already? Her mind raced, trying to comprehend the events unfolding around her. Nothing in her life prepared her for an apocalyptic event. With no other options coming to mind, she pushed on. Truth be told, she had no clue what to do or where to go. Not a good day to wing it. As she passed by a convenience store with shattered windows, Sue watched people beat the clerk over the head with pieces of debris. Once he stopped moving, they stripped the shelves bare, taking items both vital and useless. Terror threatened to paralyze her, but she pushed the feeling aside, knowing she needed to keep moving or become a victim like the clerk. Movement meant life. Sue's heart raced from the violence surrounding her, her mind filled with a million panic thoughts, but none of them helpful about how to survive in a post-apocalyptic world. She found herself alone and vulnerable, with no one to turn to, a young woman ill-prepared for this new reality. The pounding of her heart echoed in her ears, drowning out the screams from the roaming crowd. Her stomach growled, reminding her she skipped breakfast at home because she planned on eating at work. Out of habit, she reached into her pocket to check her phone, only to remember it had died. Tears filled her eyes, threatening to blind her worse than the smoke and the dust. Before she had a total breakdown, Sue sucked in a deep breath to calm her spirit. The smoke from the acrid air stung her throat, and the attempt at a zen moment caused an uncontrollable coughing jack. Panic churned her gut like a hurricane forming over the warm summer ocean as she choked. When the physical discomfort passed, reason returned. She needed to get away from the chaos in the streets and secure the basics of survival: food, water, and shelter. But where to start? Her apartment was 12 miles away, and she hadn't gone to the grocery store this week. Sue hadn't gone shopping last week either, choosing to eat out after work each night. An empty refrigerator waited for her at home, mocking her crappy life choices. Without power, anything perishable inside would spoil anyway. A weak justification for her failures. She didn't even know if the power had gone out at her place since her phone didn't work. But based upon the scene unfolding here, it seemed like a safe bet to expect the worst in her neighborhood. The crowds, smoke, debris, and the confused masses made it difficult to navigate the familiar street. People had become more organized, traveling in the same direction. She wondered if following the flow of people would lead her to the authorities or to disaster. A safe haven or hell on earth? Sue guessed the latter. People continued to fight with each other over the the limited resources. They turned against each other rather than work together to fight the unknown enemy who attacked them. She tried to befriend a group of business people she recognized from her normal commute, but they pushed her away, cursing in her face. They hoarded their lot of treasure and wouldn't share with her or anyone else. Desperation and fear filled their eyes as they screamed at her. Sue realized things had turned desperate, with people warring amongst themselves. Life and death, depending on who she teamed up with. Too bad she had no friends or family nearby. Her life's decisions alienated her. She trudged on, hoping to find someone to help her. Somebody had to be kind in this tough time. But as she turned a corner, a group of people smashed the windows of a local grocery store, grabbing anything they could get their hands on. A carbon copy of the convenience store robbery she witnessed earlier. Sue had to get out of here before they noticed her and made her their next victim. The chaos of the city closed in on her. Her heart raced as fear squeezed her chest. A teenager crashed into her, almost knocking her off her feet for the third time this morning. Somehow, she remained standing. The shock of the blow from the delinquent drove her to action. She sprinted, picking a direction she thought best. Sue needed to escape the destruction and the danger lurking around every corner of the city. Her lack of fitness caught up to her within 3 blocks. She collapsed against a wall, trying to catch her breath as her heart pounded in her chest. The adrenaline faded, zapping her remaining reserves of energy. With the cool brick wall at her back, she closed her eyes and let the tears flow. Sue wanted to survive, but she had no plan, no shelter, no supplies, nor allies. Nobody to help her. She started as the male voice spoke to her.